My name is Chloe Anderson, and I am 32 years old. I stand frozen in the living room of my childhood home in Columbus, Ohio, unable to process what I'm seeing. My suitcase lies open on the floor, its contents spilling out like evidence at a crime scene. My brand new interview suit, the one I'd saved for 3 months to buy, is crumpled in a heap. My father, David, clutches 10 crisp $100 bills in his trembling hand, his face a dangerous, blotchy shade of crimson. The family photo on the mantel, my college graduation just 3 weeks ago, seems to mock me with its captured, false happiness. Dad, that's not mine, I say, my voice sounding hollow and distant in my own ears. I would never, ever steal from Sophie. In the corner, my 28-year-old sister sobs dramatically into her hands, her shoulders heaving with the perfect, practiced rhythm of her tears. I was saving that money, she whimpers between gasps. It was for my new makeup course. For my business? For my father's eyes, usually warm when they look at me, have turned to ice. In his world, evidence is evidence, and my sister's tears are all the confirmation he needs. The money was found in my suitcase, therefore, I must be guilty. Chloe, he spits my name like it tastes bad. 32 years old, a college graduate with honors. And this is how you behave. This is what you've become. I didn't take it, I say, louder this time, my voice shaking. Someone put it there. My father's laugh is a short, harsh, barking sound. Someone? Who? Chloe. The money fairy. Your sister is heartbroken, and you're making up stories. Before I can answer, he steps forward and kicks my open suitcase. My professional clothes, the blouses and slacks I'd carefully packed for my new job in Chicago, scatter across the floor. Get out of this house, he growls, his voice low and dangerous. Now, before you embarrass us any further. Sophie's sobbing intensifies, a masterful performance. She probably just wanted new clothes for her fancy new job, she chokes out. I'm not even mad, Daddy. I just want to know why she didn't just ask me. My mother, Margaret, stands in the doorway, wringing her hands, her face a mask of anxious indecision. She darts her eyes between my father and me, but she says nothing. She never does when it matters. Mom! I plead, my voice cracking. She looks away, unable to meet my gaze. Through the living room window, I can see Mrs. Peterson from next door, peering through her curtains. By nightfall, everyone in our quiet suburban neighborhood will know that Chloe Anderson, the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who went to college and got a degree, is a common thief. I bend down to gather my scattered clothes, my mind replaying my homecoming just 3 days ago. After 4 years in Chicago for college, I'd returned to stay with my parents for 1 week, before starting my new analyst job at Stratton Wealth Management. 1 week. It now feels like a terrible, catastrophic mistake. I'd stepped through the front door with my suitcase, my diploma in a cardboard tube, and Sophie had given me that look. The one she's perfected since childhood. The one that says, I hate that you're getting attention. Guess you'll need a whole new wardrobe to look like a big city girl now, huh? She'd said, eyeing my simple blouse and jeans. Don't start. You too, Dad had said, though Sophie had been the only one starting anything. Later that evening I'd overheard them in the kitchen with the neighbors. Our Chloe, Dad had boasted, graduated with high honors. Starting at that big financial firm in Chicago next week. Full benefits, and a corner office, can you imagine? Mom had added, her voice warm with a pride I'd rarely heard. I'd glanced at Sophie, who was sitting alone on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Her expression had darkened with every compliment thrown my way. I should have recognized the warning signs then. I've spent my entire life keeping the peace in this house. When Sophie, accidentally, broke our grandmother's antique vase, I took the blame. When she failed her sophomore year midterms, I spent a month tutoring her, and when she finally passed, she told everyone she'd figured it out on her own. And then there was the college fund. When I was 18, I had $5,000 in a savings account, money I had painstakingly saved from scooping ice cream for 4 years, money earmarked for my own college textbooks. Sophie, then 24, had decided she needed a change of scenery and wanted to take a cultural immersion trip to Paris with her friends. My parents had cornered me. You're so responsible, Chloe, Mom had said. You understand, you can get scholarships, you're smart. Sophie, she just needs these life experiences. It will be so good for her. I gave them the money. I stayed home and worked at the ice cream shop all summer. Sophie's cultural immersion trip lasted 3 weeks, and her Instagram was filled with pictures of nightclubs and designer shopping bags. I've always stepped back, smoothed things over, and kept quiet to avoid disappointing my parents. The good daughter, the responsible one, the peacekeeper. But as I kneel on the floor, my hands trembling as I gather my scattered, wrinkled blouses, something inside me finally shifts. My spine straightens. I didn't take it, I say again, rising to my feet. I have never stolen a single thing in my life. Not from Sophie. Not from anyone. The money was in your suitcase, Dad says, as if that settles everything. Yes, I say. It was. In my suitcase, which has been sitting in the guest room, unlocked, for 3 days. In a house where everyone knows I keep my things. Sophie's sobbing pauses. Just for a fraction of a second. A tiny break in her performance. But it's enough. I see it, though no one else seems to. I look at my mother, still silent in the doorway. I look at my father, unmoved by my defense. I look at Sophie, already back to her convincing, having tears. And suddenly, with a painful, suffocating clarity, I understand. This family, my family, values peace over truth. They prefer Sophie's comfortable, dramatic lies to my uncomfortable, inconvenient innocence. I say quietly. I zip my suitcase, knowing some of my belongings are still scattered on the floor. But I no longer care. I pull on my jacket. Chloe, don't be dramatic, Dad says, his tone softening just a fraction, as if he suddenly realized this might be going too far. Just admit what you did. Apologize to your sister, and we can put this whole ugly business behind us. The ultimatum. The one I've been given my whole life. Apologize, smooth it over. Be the peacekeeper. I'm already walking toward the door. I will not apologize for something I didn't do. I pause at the threshold. I look back at them, my father, with the stolen money still clutched in his hand, my mother, a portrait of silent, enabling anxiety, and Sophie, whose tears have miraculously begun to subside now that the attention is no longer on her. When you figure out what really happened, I say, my voice cold, you know where to find me. I step outside, closing the door behind me with a soft, final click. The Columbus summer heat hits me like a wall. I have my car, a half tank of gas, and my one remaining paycheck. I have nowhere to go. But somehow, that seems infinitely less frightening than staying in a house where the truth means nothing at all. It's a terrible thing to feel betrayed by your own blood. Chloe's story is just beginning. If you've ever had to find your own strength when you felt like the world was against you, or if you believe in the power of truth, please show your support by clicking that like button. And subscribe to our channel so you don't miss what happens next. You're not going to want to miss this. The dashboard clock reads 3:17 a.m. I jolt awake, my neck stiff, a sharp pain shooting down my shoulder from sleeping at an awkward, cramped angle. My car is parked at the far edge of a 24-hour gas station parking lot, tucked between a semi-truck and a flickering street lamp. The sodium lights cast a sickly, yellow-orange glow across my skin. I shift uncomfortably in the reclined driver's seat. My stomach growls, a painful, hollow reminder that I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. I grab my phone, not because I expect any messages, who would contact me now, but because scrolling through work emails seems better than dwelling on the fact that I am 32 years old and homeless. The screen illuminates my face in the darkness. I tap through junk mail, and then I see it. Subject to URGN suspension of employment offer. Stratton Wealth Management. My thumb hovers over the message. My blood runs cold. A heavy, dreadful feeling settles in my chest as I open it. Dear Ms. Anderson, we have received a serious and credible ethical complaint regarding your character and professional conduct. In accordance with company policy, your offer of employment has been suspended, effective immediately, pending a full investigation into these allegations. We will contact you within 5 business days with our final decision. Regards, Human Resources, Stratton Wealth Management. I read it 3 times. Each pass makes the words more devastating. My hands begin to shake, and I press them against the steering wheel to steady them. This isn't just about Under's thousand. This isn't just about being kicked out of my parents' house. This is my entire future, Sophie. The realization hits me with such force that I gasp aloud. I frantically search my backpack for the employment letter I'd printed, the one with the HR contact information. It's gone. The original was in my desk drawer at home. A drawer I couldn't empty before my father threw me out. A memory surfaces sharp as glass. 2 days ago, walking past my bedroom and glimpsing Sophie slipping out, her expression startled when she saw me. Just borrowing a sweater, she'd said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. At the time, I dismissed it. I close my eyes now, leaning my head back against the headrest. The puzzle pieces click into place with sickening clarity. The planted money was just the opening move. While I was in the living room, defending myself against their accusations of theft, Sophie was in my room, finding my offer letter and my HR contact. She wasn't just trying to get me in trouble. She was trying to ruin me. No, I whisper, then louder, no. My fist strikes the dashboard, the pain barely registering. The violation is so complete, so calculated, it leaves me breathless. I dial the number for Stratton's HR department from memory, grateful I'd programmed it into my phone. It's 3:30 a.m. It rings through to voicemail. I hang up, unable to formulate what I would even say. The hunger in my stomach transforms into a hollow, sickening ache. I curl forward, pressing my forehead against the steering wheel. Time passes. I don't know how much. The sky begins to lighten from black to a bruised, deep purple. When the clock finally reads 800 a.m., I call HR again. Human Resources, this is Patricia Davies. Hello, this is Chloe Anderson. I received an email last night about my job offer being suspended and… Yes, Miss Anderson. Her voice cools noticeably. We received an anonymous tip yesterday afternoon with some very concerning information about your character. What information? What did they say? I fight to keep my voice steady. A pause. I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics, but the allegations involve theft from family members and a history of dishonesty. The humiliation burns through me like acid. I'm defending myself to strangers who already believe I'm guilty, just like my family did. Those allegations are false, I say. I've never stolen anything in my life. I am being set up by my sister. I understand this is upsetting, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Davies says, her tone suggesting she understands nothing of the sort. But we take ethical concerns very seriously at Stratton. The investigation is ongoing. After hanging up, I sit in stunned silence. Then I notice two women at the gas pump, looking in my direction and whispering. One of them laughs. I recognize them. Sarah Mills and Jennifer Baker, from my high school. I roll down my window slightly, and their words drift toward me. Did you hear about Chloe Anderson? Stole $1,000 from her own sister. For interview clothes. Seriously. I always thought she was so perfect, so high and mighty. Guess we know the truth now. They walk into the convenience store, unaware I've heard every word. The realization slams into me. Sophie hasn't just poisoned my professional life. She has started a smear campaign, destroying my reputation throughout our entire hometown. My phone buzzes. Texts from people I haven't spoken to in years. Hey, Chloe. Everything okay? Heard something happened. Is it true what they're saying about you? Yeeks. Rough situation with your family. Call me. The gas station bathroom mirror reflects a stranger. Pale, with dark circles under her eyes, her hair matted from the car. I splash cold water on my face and stare at my reflection. In 24 hours, I have lost my family's trust, my home, my reputation, and my entire future. My apartment lease in Chicago starts in 2 weeks. Without this job, I can't pay the rent. I return to my car and watch the sun rise, the reality of my situation settling over me like a heavy, wet blanket. The tears that have threatened all day finally come, silent and hot. Then, something shifts. I stop crying. And I start thinking. I pull a notebook and pen from my backpack. I begin writing everything down. Dates, times, the planted words 1,000, Sophie in my room, the missing HR letter, the timing of the anonymous call. My phone rings. I almost ignore it, but the name makes me answer. Aunt Joan, I say, my voice cracking. Chloe, she says, her voice warm and blessedly familiar. I've been hearing some strange things. And I know your mother. Want to tell me what's really going on? I take a deep breath, and I tell her everything. When I finish, the line is quiet. Chloe, Aunt Joan says firmly. I've known you your whole life. You wouldn't steal a pack of gum if it was glued to your hand. Now where are you? I hesitate. My car. At the Sunoco on Glenstone. Absolutely not, she says with such authority that I almost smile. You're coming to my house. Right now. I've got the guest room ready, and I'm making coffee. I don't want to be a burden, I say, though the prospect of a real bed makes me dizzy. You're not a burden, she says, her voice sharp. Your family. The real kind. And anyone who thinks you're a thief isn't family worth worrying about. Now, drive. That night, after a hot shower, and the first real meal I'd had in 2 days, I sat at Aunt Joan's kitchen table and composed a formal, professional email to Ms. Davies at Stratton Wealth Management. I explained the situation in measured terms, outlining the family conflict and my sister's likely interference. I attached character references from my university professors and my previous employers. The response came faster than I expected. They would postpone their final decision, pending a more thorough investigation. It was a small victory. It cost me another sleepless night, but for the first time, I felt a flicker of determination. Truth doesn't need to be loud, honey, Aunt Joan told me, squeezing my shoulder. It just needs to be strong enough to stand firm. For the first time since I was thrown out, I felt like I might be strong enough. A week later, the phone rang early Monday morning. Aunt Joan glanced at the caller ID. "It's your sister," she said, holding out the receiver. I shook my head. Aunt Joan nodded and answered, putting it on speaker. "Joan's residence." "Hi, Aunt Joan," Sophie's voice, sugary and concerned. "Is Chloe there? Mom and Dad are just worried sick." "She's resting," Aunt Joan said. "What can I help you with? I just wanted to check on her. She's been having some issues lately. Acting strange. Taking things that don't belong to her." Sophie's voice dropped to a theatrical whisper. "We're all just worried she might be going through something serious." My fingers tightened around my coffee mug. The character assassination was continuing. "Interesting perspective, Sophie," Aunt Joan said. "I'll let her know you called." After she hung up, my phone buzzed. A voicemail. "My father, Chloe. Your mother is worried sick. This has gone on long enough. You come home, we'll forget this happened. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just the expectation that I would return, tail between my legs, and we'd sweep it all under the rug." I scrolled through my messages, 3 from high school acquaintances. 1 from my cousin. "Heard you're getting help for your problems. We're all praying for you." The narrative Sophie had spun was spreading like wildfire. "Your grandmother had a saying," Aunt Joan said. "Truth doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be strong. Now, let's build your strength. Write everything down. Dates, times, witnesses." For the next 2 hours, I documented everything. "Now," she said, "we practice what you'll say." She played as Sophie, mimicking her wide-eyed, innocent act, while I practiced responding with calm, cold facts. "When you get emotional, they win," she coached. "Emotion makes you look unstable. Facts make you look credible." By Wednesday, I felt steadier. I headed to the grocery store. As I was comparing prices on pasta, I heard her voice. "Chloe." Sophie stood at the end of the aisle, a shopping basket on her arm. She looked shocked, though something in her expression suggested this wasn't entirely coincidental. I told Dad not to be so hard on you," she said, her voice loud enough for the elderly couple comparing tomato sauces to hear. "Everyone makes mistakes. I'm just so worried about you." I saw the couple glance our way, their faces full of pity for her. I realized she wasn't just speaking to me, she was performing for an audience. Aunt Joan's coaching echoed in my mind. "Calm facts. No emotion. I know what you did, Sophie," I said, my voice steady and measured. "All of it." Her confident, concerned sister's smile faltered. "Just for a second." What are you talking about?" "The planted money. The call to my employer. All of it. I placed the pasta in my basket. And soon, everyone else will know too." Panic flashed across her face before she recovered. You're just trying to blame me for your..." But I was already walking away, leaving her stammering to the tomato sauce couple. For the first time, I felt a flicker of power. That evening, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. It was my old friend Megan. "Chloe, I have to tell you something," she said, without preamble. "Sophie was at a party last weekend. My little brother, Jason, was there, and he heard her bragging." My hand trembled. "Bragging about what?" About how she finally set you up. How she taught her perfect sister some humility." Those were her exact words. "Jason said she was laughing. Laughing about how you'd have to come crawling back once your fancy Chicago job fell through." After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table. My sister hadn't just made a mistake. She had bragged about it. She was proud of it. "I think we should record Megan's statement," Aunt Joan said. "And her brother's. Then we send it to HR. Will they even believe it? People believe evidence, honey. and sworn witness statements are evidence. While Aunt Joan made dinner, I drafted a formal statement for Stratton Wealth Management, attaching the new testimony. They can take my home, I told my aunt, but they cannot take my future. Or my dignity. That night, I finally broke down. I gave them everything. I sobbed. I was the perfect daughter. Why wasn't it enough? Aunt Joan wrapped her arms around me. Some people can't stand to see others shine, honey, she said softly. Your light makes Sophie see her own darkness. That's not your fault, and it's not your burden to fix. The next morning, I recorded Megan's and Jason's statements. I created the timeline. I forwarded all communications to HR. And then I started packing, for real, for Chicago. The job was my future. My family was my past. That evening, as I was packing, Aunt Joan's phone rang. It's your mother, she said. She wants to talk to you. I shook my head. She says she overheard her neighbor Meredith repeating a story. The exact story Sophie told them. But, she said she heard Sophie bragging about it. At a party. My heart quickened. What? What did Mom say? She said, I need to talk to Chloe. I think I've made a terrible mistake. The hope that flared in my chest felt dangerous. Did she say she believes me? I asked. Not in those words, Aunt Joan admitted. But she wants to talk. Wait, I said, a new thought forming. I need to record this call. All of them. From now on, I spent 30 minutes preparing. Facts, not emotions. Evidence, not accusations. I set my phone to record and dialed my mother's number. Aunt Joan sat beside me. Mom. My voice was professional, the same tone I used for my job. Chloe, oh thank goodness. Aunt Joan said you called. Yes, I heard something. From Meredith next door. She hesitated. She said Sophie was at a party, bragging. About the money. That's right, I said simply. Is that true? About the money. Mom, this isn't just about the money. My job offer was suspended. Someone called my new employer with ethical concerns about me. What? No, that can't. I have the email, Mom. Would you like me to forward it? Before she could answer, I heard a shuffle. Chloe? It's me. Look, this whole thing got so out of hand. It was Sophie. I was just joking at that party. I never meant. Let me talk to her. A deeper voice. My father. Of course. Chloe, he said, his voice carrying that familiar tone of ultimate authority. You are blowing this way out of proportion. It was just money. A misunderstanding. If you hadn't overreacted by storming out. I didn't storm out, Dad, I said, my voice steady. You kicked me out. You told me to leave before I could embarrass you further. Those were your exact words. Well, tensions were high. This isn't about the money. This is about my job, I cut in. Someone knew exactly where I was going to work. Someone had access to my offer letter. Someone wanted to make sure I couldn't leave Columbus. Chloe, Sophie's voice broke through, tearful as always. You're making it sound like some kind of conspiracy. I would never do that. Why would I even want to? I don't know. Sophie. Why don't you tell me? Why did you plant $1,000 in my suitcase and tell everyone I stole it? Now wait just a minute, Dad interjected. I'm not doing this, I said firmly. I'll talk when you're all ready to acknowledge what really happened. I ended the call. An hour later, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Sophie's car. I opened the door. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup artfully smudged. Chloe, please, she said, pushing past me. I'm so sorry. This has all gone too far. Which part are you sorry for, Sophie? The planted money, or the call to my employer? Her face crumpled. Why do you always have to be so perfect? The college degree! The fancy job in Chicago! Everyone always talking about wonderful Chloe! You always get everything. The venom in her voice was raw. This wasn't a performance. It was the truth. I worked for those things, Sophie. And I didn't? I'm trying. It's not my fault. I'm not a perfect analyst. My phone buzzed. A text from Megan. 3 more people from the party just confirmed they heard Sophie bragging, sending you their names. As if on cue, my email notification sounded. I opened it. From HR, it's HR, I said, scanning the message. They've received several calls today, all vouching for my character, all reporting the same story, about what you said at that party. Sophie's face went pale. The doorbell rang again. This time it was my mother alone. Her face was drawn. I need to talk to you both, she said. Meredith wasn't the only neighbor who heard you bragging, Sophie. Mrs. Peterson called me. She said you were laughing about finally putting Chloe in her place. Mom, they misunderstood. My phone buzzed. A screenshot from Megan. Sophie's latest social media post. Family is about forgiveness. So hurt by betrayal, but trying to heal. Below it, comments were piling up. But they weren't what she expected. Weren't you just bragging about framing her at Jason's party? I heard you called her new job and tried to get her fired. This is unbelievable, Sophie. My mother's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face crumbled. That was Mrs. Wilson from church, she said to Sophie. She wanted to know if you needed a therapist referral. Because her grandson was at that party, too. And he told her everything. Sophie collapsed onto the sofa, her facade finally, completely, crumbling. Mom, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted, you just wanted to hurt your sister, my mother finished. And you've been lying. To all of us, for the first time in my life, I saw my mother look at Sophie the way she'd always looked at me, with expectation. With accountability. Chloe, my mother said, turning to me, her eyes filled with a new, terrible shame. I think I have made a terrible mistake. I said nothing. I just let the truth, in all its awful, cleansing light, settle in the room. On Friday, the phone rang. It was my father. Your sister, she's devastated. You need to let this go, Chloe. Family forgives. Is that all? I asked. A pause. Your mother misses you. I studied the timeline I'd created. I'll be in touch, I said and hung up. My phone pinged. A text from Sophie. I'm sorry about the money. I was jealous and stupid. Can we just move past this? The careful wording. Sorry about the money. Not the call to HR. Not the smear campaign. Not the sabotage of my career. Another text. Mom's barely eating. She's so upset about all this. Aunt Joan entered with coffee. Your father? She asked. I nodded. And Sophie. They want me to let it go. For Mom's sake. And what about your sake? She asked. My phone rang again. HR. My heart hammered. Ms. Anderson, Ms. Davies said. We've reviewed your documentation. And the flood of witness statements we've received this week, including from your parents. This has been unusual. But your offer of employment is fully reinstated. We'll see you on Monday. I hung up, the relief so profound I felt dizzy. They're testing you, Aunt Joan said. They need a reference from your family. So this line from the original transcript is confusing and doesn't fit the flow. I'll modify it to be the climax of the family confrontation. I have to go, I told my aunt. I have to see them. Completely? The hours passed in careful preparation. At 6:55 p.m., their car pulled up. They arrived together. My mother, Celeste, my father, David, and Sophie. Thank you for coming, I said, gesturing to the chairs I'd arranged on the other side of Aunt Joan's dining table. Chloe, this has gone far enough, my father started. I held up my hand. My job offer has been reinstated. Their faces registered shock. HR received multiple calls. I continued. Including, I believe, from you, Mom and Dad. We had to, my mother whispered. After what we learned. I've gathered everything, I said, gesturing to the documents spread across the table. A timeline. Witness statements. The HR emails. I pressed play on my phone. Megan's brother, Jason. His voice filled the room. Bragging about how she'd taught Chloe some humility. Said she needed to be knocked down a peg. After getting that fancy job. Sophie's face drained of color. You recorded people, she asked. No, I said. He offered. Because he knew what you did was wrong. Akela, Sophie. My mother's voice was sharp. Tell the truth. Now. But the silence was electric. My father sat motionless, his expression unreadable. Sophie began. All of it, Sophie, my mother said. Every bit. I waited. This wasn't about winning anymore. It was about the truth, standing firm. Fine. Sophie finally whispered, her voice raw. I took the money. I put it in her suitcase. And I called her new job. I told them she was a thief. My father's head snapped up. You what? She always gets everything? Sophie's composure cracked, tears of rage and jealousy spilling. The grades, the praise, the fancy job. While I'm stuck here in this stupid town, working retail. I just wanted her to fail. Just once. So you tried to ruin her life. Aunt Joan asked quietly from the doorway. Sophie didn't answer. I slid the HR email across the table. My father stared at it, then at me, as if seeing me for the first time. My mother reached for her phone. What are you doing? Sophie asked. The right thing, my mother said. Her fingers moved across the screen. A new social media post. We were wrong, she typed. Our youngest daughter, Sophie, lied and said her sister, Chloe, stole from her. Chloe is innocent. We apologize to everyone for not believing our daughter. Mom! Sophie lunged for the phone. You're ruining my life? No, Sophie, my mother said, pulling the phone away. You ruined your own. My mother then dialed HR. Yes, this is Margaret Anderson. I'm calling about Chloe Anderson. Yes, I'm the one who. My husband and I would like to vouch for her character. The accusations, they were false. It was my other daughter, Sophie. My father took the phone from her. This is David Anderson, he said, his voice rough. My daughter, Chloe. She has always been honest. Always. The accusations were a terrible family mistake, and she is the victim, not the perpetrator. After the call, we sat in a new, transformed silence. The family hierarchy had crumbled. I start my job on Monday, I said, gathering my evidence. In Chicago. We know, my mother said, her eyes filled with a shame I'd never seen. We're proud of you, Chloe. The words I'd once longed to hear now felt different. Not because they weren't sincere, but because I no longer needed them to believe in myself. The Monday morning sun filters through the sheer curtains of my new apartment in Lincoln Park. I run my fingers along the edge of my new, sleek desk. This space is mine. My business cards sit in a neat stack. Chloe Anderson, financial analyst. My first day at Stratton was challenging. I got lost twice, spilled coffee on my notebook, and felt completely overwhelmed. But my supervisor said my preliminary work was excellent, and I'm excited to go back tomorrow. My phone buzzes. Mom. Hi, Mom. How was your first day, sweetheart? She asks, her voice tentative. It was a lot, I admit. I got lost, spilled coffee, and felt like I was in over my head. I pause. But my supervisor was impressed with my work. I think I'm gonna like it here. A silence. Thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth, Chloe. Not just the good parts. I'm trying to do better. Me too, Mom. After we hang up, I water the small potted plant Aunt Joan sent. Her words echo. Standing in your truth isn't selfish. It's necessary. A text from Sophie. Everyone here keeps asking where you are. It's annoying. I set the phone down without replying. Her problems are no longer mine to fix. The evening stretches before me, peaceful and unstructured. I slice an apple, arrange some cheese on a plate, and take my dinner to the balcony. From 12 stories up, the Chicago traffic flows like a distant river. My colleague Jenna had invited me for happy hour. People who know nothing of the Anderson family drama. People who see me as I am now. A notification from Megan. Booked my flight. Can't wait to see your new place. I smile. As the sun sets, I realize how much has changed. The weight of being the family peacekeeper, of being responsible for everyone's happiness, has lifted. In its place, a quiet confidence grows. My phone buzzes. Sophie, I miss you. Can we talk sometime? I study the message. My thumbs hover. I type I'm open to talking in a few months. When I'm ready. No rush. No guilt. Just the simple truth. Tomorrow I have a project analysis to present. Next week, Megan visits. Next month, Mom and Dad are coming to Chicago. Their first visit, with clear boundaries already established. As night falls, I open my journal and write. Truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be strong enough to stand firm. Aunt Joan's words, now mine. I am Chloe Anderson. I am a daughter and a sister. But I am also a financial analyst, a friend, and a woman building her life on her own terms. And for the first time, that feels like more than enough. Thank you for listening to my story. It took me 32 years to learn that you cannot be the peacekeeper in a family that is at war with the truth. You are not responsible for fixing people who are committed to their own lies, even if you love them. True strength isn't about how much you can endure. It's about having the courage to stand in your own truth, even if you have to stand alone. Have you ever been in a situation where you were the responsible one, expected to sacrifice your own needs for everyone else? How did you finally find the strength to set boundaries? Please share your wisdom and your own stories in the comments section below. And if this story resonated with you, and you believe in the power of truth, please click that like button, share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more stories. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss what's next.